Good evening, Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, somebody is dying of COVID-19 every 20 minutes. And in America now, we are losing more than 3,000 people a day, the equivalent of deaths of having a 9/11 tragedy each and every day. And today we shattered the record from Sunday of the most cases of COVID, 12,819 new cases today. While we hold the horror of this moment, we also hold the hope of this moment. 2 hours ago, the Food and Drug Administration's Vaccine Advisory Committee endorsed the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine, which is the final step before the FDA authorizes the vaccine for use. This is a monumental victory for Angelenos and a hopeful day for all Americans. Vaccines will be our most important tool in getting this crisis under control, getting relief to our workers and our businesses, families, everyone who has suffered and who's lost at the hands of this vicious virus. Pending the FDA's authorization, LA County will get up to 83,000 doses in the next few days, as many as 500,000 doses by the end of December. And if approved by the FDA tomorrow or over the weekend, we could see the first vaccines distributed in Los Angeles at the beginning of this coming week. If authorized, this vaccine will prove a miracle of science, a testament to the researchers and the workers, the clinicians who achieved a breakthrough in record time, and the courage of the trial participants who literally rolled up their sleeves to be the brave volunteers in service of their fellow human beings. I'm grateful to the FDA for running a review process that was rigorous, thorough, and free from any politics. Once it's authorized, that rigor and that approach gives me deep confidence in this vaccine. FDA authorization will mean that it's safe and that it's effective. And I urge all Angelenos to get vaccinated as soon as they qualify and those vaccines are available. We will work very hard to make sure that those who need the vaccine most are the first in line, and also that no communities are left behind because of geography or income or culture. This vaccine will mark a milestone in the life of our nation and a turning point in the terrible course of this pandemic. We still, though, have a long way to go before this disease is behind us, until we are out of harm's way. As your mayor, just as I've done from the earliest days of this crisis, I've leveled with you, told you the hard news and the hopeful news together. So here's what you need to know in summary right now. First, that today's news really does give us reason for hope. It is the light at the end of the tunnel. And yes, it will take a while to get back to normal. We might be wearing masks and taking precautions for longer than we'd like, but with treatments driving mortality rates down and the beginning of vaccine distribution only days away, the ending of this pandemic is finally in sight. But this brings me to my second point. The worst is not yet behind us. It's tough to hold both that hope and that horror, the hope of this moment and the horror of this moment. But in fact, the worst is right in front of us, today, here, now, staring us in the face and threatening to devastate us, to wreak havoc through more loss if we don't muster the strength to push just a little bit further, for just a little while longer. Anybody who's ever run a long race, I've run one marathon in my life, knows those final miles are the toughest. But it is worth it. And in this fight, we must continue and summon that strength to serve our fellow human beings, to get through this moment without more death and loss. We've managed to avert the nightmare scenario until now, prevented our hospitals from being overrun, choices that medical professionals never want to make between who lives and who dies. We've avoided the terrible fate that we saw in other cities and regions around the world. But today's COVID-19 data from LA County is the most devastating since the start of this pandemic. As I already mentioned, we broke Sunday's 10,000 plus record with 12,819 new infections. That's 2,000 more than the worst day we've ever had. It's happening so quickly, sometimes we can't even take in these numbers. That's up 128% since last week, 300% since last month, 1,000% since a month and a half ago. And hospitalizations, we currently have 3,624 people hospitalized with COVID-19 and connected complications. A 6% increase just since yesterday, and triple the number that were hospitalized just 1 month ago. This is a new high for hospitalizations. And of those that are in the hospital, 819 of them, 819 are severely sick and are in the ICU. This is a 3% increase since yesterday and 136% increase in our ICU patients since last month. With more sick patients, Southern California's hospital ICU beds continue to fill up. Today, the region has just 7.7% of those ICU beds available right now. And we learned of 24 deaths in the city of Los Angeles and 74 new deaths in the county. Put more clearly, every hour, somebody's dying in the city of Los Angeles. And as I mentioned, every 20 minutes, somewhere here in LA County, someone is dying from COVID and its complications. These figures are astounding. Each one is a tragedy for a family and for a community. Together, they form an overwhelming loss for Los Angeles. When we talked about the deadly surge that might come following Thanksgiving, this is that Thanksgiving surge finally upon us. And we have to make sure there's not a Christmas and holiday surge on top of that. That's in our hands to stop these numbers from climbing, these beds from disappearing, and these lives from being ended. And tragically, we know this is only the beginning. In this year of constant crises, this is the greatest crisis we have ever faced. Yes, vaccines will help, but the process of getting enough people vaccinated will take time. It won't happen overnight. It will take some months, not days or weeks. And that leads me to my third point that you need to know. I'm asking you to help us buy some time. I'm asking you to do all that you can to slow in this critical period the spread, to not just surf off of the hope, but to recognize the horror. Until we have widely available vaccines for everybody, all of Southern California is now under a safer at home order from Governor Newsom and the state of California. These restrictions mirror what Los Angeles County put in place 10 days ago. There may be tweaks here and there, but the basics are straightforward. We need to stay at home. And I know that we're all frustrated and fatigued. I feel the same way. This sucks. None of us like these rules. None of us want to be at home. We miss each other. We can't stand what is happening, but we can do this. We can summon the strength. We've shown it, and we will again. And it will end, and we will get this under control. We just need to get through these last few months of darkness before the dawn. We need you to keep your resolve. I need you to keep your willpower to walk us back from this brink of 12,819 cases today, and to prevent us from running out of not just ICU beds, but medical staff who are working around the clock, your fellow neighbors who wake up for shifts overnight and during the day, and another shift, putting themselves in harm's way to protect you in hospitals because of COVID-19 and for other health reasons that people need to still have access to our hospitals. Stick it out just a little bit longer and keep your eyes fixed and your heart set on our mission of saving lives. It's what you've done for months. It's what you have to continue to do now, because the choices you make will make a difference. Continue to hunker down unless it's outdoor recreation or an essential trip to the doctor or to the pharmacy or the market. Cancel it. Stay at home and steer clear of people. The county tells us 1 out of 140 people is COVID positive right now. So the more places you go, the more spaces that you're in, the higher risk you are at. And even if you feel you'll be healthy and make it through, you might not, or you might have lingering symptoms that go for a long time, or you might pass it on to somebody that you love. And wear your masks anytime you do leave the house. By covering our faces, we'll get closer to the day when we restore our freedom to shop and to socialize and to work and to study anywhere, interact with anyone, give our loved ones the hugs we miss. And I encourage you to go outside for recreation and for exercise. Your physical fitness, your mental health, your spiritual well-being is so important in these moments of stress and anxiety. And finally, I trust our county and our state public health officials. And I know for some that's tough because the rules seem to change, they're tough to understand, but they are our guides through this final leg of this daunting journey. Every Angelino has helped us get this far. Every Angelino has saved lives. Every Angelino has spread hope. And please do everything you can to help your fellow Angelinos. You can give money now that will help us get to those most in need at mayorsfundla.org, where this week $30,000 was donated just from last time when I said we need that help to help people pay the rent and to pay for groceries and to get through these days. Our essential workers continue to show up. One of them was Frank Cueto, a husband, a father, an LAPD sergeant who gave 22 years of service to this city. He wasn't in my speech tonight, but I spoke with his family, and I just was so moved I wanted to share his story. And I want to say to Kelly, his wife, and to Jamie, and Gunnar, and Tanner, and Cheyenne, and Joaquin, I know how tough it is. I want you to face tomorrow and come out of your room, and I want you to know that there are people that love you. And I know that your loss is immeasurable. Dad and your husband is no longer there. I know what that must feel like to have this empty hole in your life. And to his brothers Dave and Greg, who still serve this city in the police and fire department, thank you for your strength. And I ask everybody to pray for this family and to pray for the family of everybody who has lost someone, and to do the things so that we won't have to pray for a life lost because we decided to cut a corner, or to see somebody when we shouldn't have, or to go out when we didn't need to. You see, that hope and that light that is coming is also in our hands. And the Cueto family, thank you for giving us an angel in the city of angels. One of the toughest jobs, to be a police officer and put your life on the line, to give of yourself each and every day, to go out there to work and to put yourself in harm's way during this pandemic. We love you, we remember you, and we will always honor you. We're almost there, Los Angeles. We're almost there. The end is in sight. This pandemic will be over. And I know that you will continue to do your part to make that happen and to start the beginning of the rest of our lives. Nothing will be the same. For some families, they'll feel shattered. But all of us will come together, because in this city, whether it's been unrest or earthquakes, wars or depression, never bet against Los Angeles. This is the city of angels, made up of believers and dreamers and doers. And I know that we will see this through, my friends. This will not be our destination. This will be something that we march through and march from. So stay healthy and stay safe. And please stay at home. Sending you strength and love as always. Thank you. No questions tonight. I will go to Spanish then, and thank you all for tuning in. Muy buenas noches, Los Ángeles. Hace 2 horas recibimos la noticia de que el Comité Consultivo de la Administración de Alimentos y Medicamentos aprobó la vacuna de Pfizer BioNTech, el último paso antes de que la FDA autoriza el uso de la vacuna. Esto es un gran logro para Los Ángeles y para todo nuestro país. Esta vacuna será la herramienta más poderosa para controlar la propagación de este virus, regresar a nuestras vidas y reabrir nuestra economía. El gobernador Newsom hoy anunció que, pendiente la autorización de la FDA, el condado de Los Ángeles recibirá hasta 83,000 dosis de la vacuna en los próximos días y unas 500,000 dosis a finales de este mes. Estoy agradecido a la FDA por liderar un proceso que ha sido riguroso, completo y libre de la interferencia política. Si la FDA lo autoriza, tengo toda la confianza que esta vacuna sea segura y efectiva. Y les urjo a todos que reciban la vacuna cuando sea disponible. Cuando llegue la vacuna para todos será un gran triunfo para nosotros, pero todavía nos falta tiempo para llegar a ese punto. Ahora, toda la región del sur de California está bajo la orden del gobernador Newsom, más protegidos en casa. Esta orden es similar a la orden del condado que entró en vigor hace 10 días. Esto significa que cuando sea posible, tenemos que quedarnos en casa. Estas son decisiones difíciles, pero necesarias, recomendadas por nuestros expertos de salud pública para evitar que este virus mate a más gente. Ya hemos perdido demasiados vecinos a causa de este virus y no queremos más. Por el momento, Los Ángeles está afrontando el mayor riesgo de pérdida de vida en la historia de nuestra ciudad. Yo entiendo que esto es frustrante y agotador. Yo me siento igual. Todos están sufriendo de alguna manera. Padres sufriendo con tener la escuela de sus hijos en casa. Negocios sufriendo debido a la falta de alivio económico del gobierno federal. Y familias sufriendo por el fallecimiento de sus seres queridos. Entiendo este sufrimiento y también lo siento. Sin embargo, tenemos que seguir adelante con nuestros esfuerzos para controlar el virus. Como su alcalde, siempre seré sincero con ustedes sobre nuestra situación. Primero, tenemos razón para tener esperanza. Y aunque nos tomará más tiempo para regresar a lo anterior, y estaremos usando mascarillas y tomando precauciones durante más tiempo de lo que queremos, estamos cerca al final. Y segundo, lo peor aún no ha pasado. De hecho, está junto delante de nosotros. Aunque logramos evitar lo peor que sufrieron otras ciudades al principio de la pandemia, si perdemos nuestro enfoque ahora, eso cambiará. Los datos de COVID-19 de hoy para el condado de Los Ángeles son de los más graves desde el comienzo de la pandemia. Tuvimos 12,819 nuevas infecciones hoy, un nuevo récord y un aumento del 128% desde la semana pasada y 300% del mes pasado. Hay 3,624 personas hospitalizadas por COVID, el triple de los que fueron hospitalizados hace un mes. 819 pacientes están en la unidad de cuidados intensivos, un aumento del 136% desde el mes pasado, una tendencia peligrosa para nuestros hospitales. Y tristemente, fallecieron 24 personas más en nuestra ciudad y 74 en nuestro condado. Cada 20 minutos, una persona está muriendo de COVID-19 en el condado de Los Ángeles. Claro que las vacunas ayudarán, pero la distribución de la vacuna no sucederá para todos de la noche a la mañana. Este proceso tomará meses todavía. Y finalmente, por tercero, les pido que nos ayuden a ganar tiempo. Por favor, hagan todo lo posible para ayudarnos a frenar la propagación de este virus hasta que tengamos las vacunas disponibles, porque sus decisiones harán la diferencia. Quédense en casa, solo salgan para hacer ejercicio al aire libre o para viajes esenciales como ir al médico o a la farmacia o al mercado, y no vayan a reuniones. Y si salen de su casa, siempre usen una mascarilla. Por último, tengo toda confianza en nuestros funcionarios de salud pública, del Estado y del condado. Y ustedes también lo deben de tener. Ellos tienen profundos conocimientos de este tema para guiarnos por esta última etapa. Y no olvidemos que estos mismos expertos también están planeando la distribución de una vacuna para nosotros. Ya casi llegamos al final de esta pandemia, Los Ángeles, y al principio del resto de nuestras vidas. Entonces, manténgase seguro y sano y quédese en casa. Fuerza y amor, Los Ángeles. Thank you.